Hi, Lauren. We're going to discuss the RACI for the A/B testing program. The document that I shared in the chat was my initial, like, what I think it should be. But I just wanted to get everyone's feedback to say, like, yes, this is something that I would own, or no, this is like absolutely not me. I tried to follow GitLab's DRI method, but it just wasn't like as clearly laid out as the RACI chart that I shared. So what I'm seeing as R is someone that's like responsible, and they're the one that actually like goes and does the task, and accountable is someone that like double checks it or like make sure it's complete, and then consulted and informed just kind of makes sense. So yeah, I was hoping maybe like the way that I split it out was just like these are kind of like the tasks or like the flow that it would go in, but just curious on people's thoughts essentially. Maybe we can just start from the bottom and go down. So the first one would be ideation, so generating ideas. I think that's like anyone and everyone. You're free, everyone's welcome to put in ideas. Everyone can contribute, no problem. The second one is selecting and green flagging an A/B test idea. So that one would be like a combination of Dennis, you and I around like, are we good to go? Like, do we want to do this test? Yes or no? I say you and I, but I also mean like with Michael's approval and informing Michael. Test design, this one I'm curious, Dennis, what you think. I was kind of saying like it's a combination of us, but also like you're looking at the data, so I like kind of want to give you the like freedom to be like yes or no on like which test elements are actually in there. Curious on your thoughts there.
This is designing like Figma work, right? Or
No, sorry, I meant like which like the control and variable are defined, which metrics
oh,
we need. That's what I mean. Sorry, I can clarify that.
yeah, I think R makes sense because I feel like the past 2 weeks has been a good learning curve for me. Like some tests are going to be multivariate, some tests are going to be A/B. Some tests does not make sense at all. Like they shouldn't be a test. Maybe it's a just do. So I think that makes sense for R.
Do you think I should move this one above the selecting and green flagging to your point there?
This one above
This,
selecting green flag.
yes.
Yeah, because green flag is like it's already right.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense because then that would give us a better understanding of if it's a just do. I think that it pushes it into still like a test, but it pushes it into another like category where Dennis can like we did it, earmark the date when it went live, and then you can run a 40-day, 30-day, whatever, however long tail like data analytics on that test, even though it's not like an A/B test, but like what we're trying to test there. That'd be good, so we can like document that separately.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so you're good with that. Then Dennis just owning that area of like, these are the metrics that need to be defined. This is like how long we'd need to reach stat state, like that type of information. Like you and
Yeah.
I together and like we'd get
Yeah.
approval, etc. But yeah.
And then in terms of the actual action that this is for, is that like within an issue? Do I create an issue or how does
I
that
think
work?
it's within the original issue that's created.
So in the ideation phase, you like someone creates an issue for the idea, right?
Yeah.
And then I go into that issue and
Yeah.
label everything like this is what we need to track. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I think with the A/B testing issue template, I think I'm going to add like an approval section, and like maybe we'll write yours like Dennis has signed off on these metrics, and like Phil's has signed off that we're going ahead with this kind of thing. So then maybe there's just clarity there.
We could also kind of do what onboarding does with different things. Like we could have a set like path of like check marks that when it's set up, then like a little bit down below, or maybe at the bottom, it's like, okay, has test design been done? Dennis can like add his comments, and then he can check that off, and then the next person can see that it's their turn.
Yeah, I like that.
Love a checkbox.
Yeah. And then the next one would be UX design. So obviously like me and the design team, I think that one's fairly reasonable. And that one would be like, if we have the A/B test issue, then we should create another issue for design. Design would go and create the design there. I think that one's pretty straightforward. Implementation, I think that one's straightforward as well. Once design is there, engineering issue, that gets shipped out to whichever group makes sense. And then sorry, I did implementation, but I actually mean implementation, like there's two steps kind of there, like implementation of like whatever feature it is, which is like maybe we'll have, maybe we won't, but then implementation of the actual test on Launch Darkly. Do you see that as two separate lines, Justin, or is that like one
Um, I think it could be one line, but it could be kind of like implementation code, or it could be like implementation and then like code / launch darkly. So we know that, yeah.
And I assume that like I just did R as like engineering manager. Do you want this to be more specific between you and Lauren, or doesn't it? Do you guys care?
No, because it'll depend upon like what part of the site people are working on. So engineering manager.
Okay. Okay, so once it's live on Launch Darkly, the next step would be like declaring a winner based on StatStig. Is that you, Dennis? Is that me? I wanted clarity there.
That would be me. Like if we had a normal test running, the p-value would be under 0.05, and then like, okay, that's a good solid number, and then we can just close it out.
Okay, so you would be
And-
responsible for like monitoring when it hits that.
Yeah, I wish there was a way if there's like a setting in Launch Darkly to email someone or Slack
should do
someone like,
that.
hey, this is under 0.05. We're done.
Yeah.
But if not, then I can just go in like every day and just check.
It does look like there are integrations. There's a Slack app integration.
Oh, that'd be great.
Maybe
Yeah.
maybe there's something in there that we can look at to try to either email or Slack.
Yeah.
I know we took away like the Launch Darkly data channel, but maybe there is a channel that like this data gets pushed to. So when we have multiple tests, like we can
Yeah.
see how the tests are running, and it's just like a bot system that like gives us the information.
Yeah,
I did like that channel when it was active.
it's kind of helpful. I was like, yeah, anyways, side conversation. Okay, so we're good. Dennis will be responsible for that. And then like probably accountable. Like I'll probably try to check in just in case. Turning on the winning variant, that one I also have questions about. So for the last test, Michael asked me to do it, but I don't know if that should be me. I'm happy to do it, but just curious on what people's thoughts are there.
I don't know if it's like a two-parter, if it's setting. I don't know if it needs to be you. I think it can be the engineering manager. If it's kind of a two-parter, it's setting it up in Launch Darkly to 100%, but then we need to have a time frame where we say like, yes, this is what we want to do. Now make it fully live, remove Launch Darkly code, and just have that variance code in the repository. So I don't know if it's a two-parter, if it's a single part, but that I would say that's an engineering manager.
My thing is like, what is the process we want when something hits StatStig? That's the part that I'm a little bit confused on. So Dennis goes as, great, we hit what we needed to hit. How is that communicated out? Is that in the issue? Is that in Slack? Is this a sync meeting? Because I think that's kind of the determinant, because even if it does hit StatStig for some reason, there might be a business reason where we don't want it to be 100%. So that's the only area where I'm like, I maybe want some overview on that.
I can see that. Then yeah, maybe that. Okay, so maybe then I'm incorrect. Maybe the turning on the winning variant in Launch Darkly, that's not an engineering manager responsibility. That's either product manager / Dennis. And then there's the next one down is actual code implementation of the winning variant. But I can see whatever. Yeah, I could also see that if we can set up some sort of notification system, or whoever's checking these tests, this kind of goes down to like burn down charts and whatnot. But I feel like each A/B test is an epic, and we have multiple issues associated, or if it's a single issue, part of that checkbox thing, like have you reached StatSig? Yes, check, and then the information gets added to that issue of like, here it is. So like, I don't know if we want to consolidate all this information into a single issue, which I think is cool. But then we check the box StatSig. Here's the plan of action, and then in there, like, there's another checkbox. It's code implementation, but we have some conversation around how long do we leave it at the winning variant? Is there some business questions we want to still run? And or the other question would be, cool, we've done this. Is there a follow-up A/B test we want to run? Like, I know there are some multiple step A/B tests coming down in the future that we were talking about, that yes, we've got StatSig on this, cool, but now here's the next issue for the next A/B test we're running as like a second step of this flow, kind of a thing.
Dennis, what do you think?
Yeah. And then in the initial is all of those checkboxes, right? So so once like the engineering issue is done, we go back to the initial and check it off? Or
This is what like I'm just thinking, but yeah, we can make it an issue, no problem. I think the A/B test epic issue, whatever you want to call it, would have like the test information, the checklist, like the approval checklist, basically.
Yeah, I think so. I think,
And then declaring a winner, I think, should be on the A/B test issue.
yep. I think kind of in the RACI, like the chart, like the third one down, selecting and green flagging A/B test idea. That's when
We turn it into an epic.
and we turn it into epic, and that's when we start opening up these other issues to make that happen. I think that's probably that step, and we add the checklist and all those sorts of things would be, in my mind, the right plan of attack. So then we can track everything else separately, but we still have like the main epic that houses everything. And I would say like all of the like subsequent data goes into the epic information, not necessarily like the engineering issue or the design issue. Those should be purely like focused on like design or engineering questions, and then like the data information and like next steps are in the epic.
Yeah. Dennis, do you need a separate issue for your measurement stuff, or is that information that you would keep in the epic?
I think in the initial issue, though, there's going to be a section that outlines what launch directly KPI to track, and then what business KPIs to track. And then I would also like a separate measurement issue where I can basically copy and paste the report into and then tag the appropriate people.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's fine. My only concern with epics is like the fact that you can't like have epics within other epics. So like you can't have the epic under like the OKR, and like that was the suggested method that we wanted to keep track of things.
You can do that. You just can't have it. You can't have it nested like
epic under epic. You can just get them related, right?
I think it's like seven epics deep. So you can have like, so yeah, we can do that. So you can have because we have like our OKRs, and then we'll have like another epic, and then another epic inside of that. So this can like you would create the issue and tie it to the OKR epic, and then when you promote the issue to an epic, it'll still be pointed to where it needs to be.
And then the other thing is like we had an A/B testing project. Do we not want to do that? Because I know you can't have the epics and the issues from two different projects.
That's where it gets tricky. I forgot about that.
I'm okay. I don't care about the A/B testing project, whatever works, to be honest with you.
I think that might be maybe that's we can bring that up with Lauren as like what is the better, like I like the project in the grand scheme of things, but when we're like I know the engineers, it gets a little messy for like, is it, where does this work? So I think we can kind of figure that out.
Yeah, maybe
I want to
I'm in here.
We talked about it during the retro, and I think it was decided to nix the project and just keep everything under fire.
Yeah, my only thing with nixing the project is I worry about people pulling in things or like seeing an A/B test and being like, oh, we're doing this. And it's like, no, that's just an idea. Like, this is also just a backlog. So that would be my only reservation there. But I think maybe we can get Lauren to pitch in here.
Yep. The other option is we still keep the project, but when like that's we have the ideas there, and we can kind of triage those ideas.
Yeah.
And when we're ready to like action them, we essentially copy that data over to like what is going to be in the buyer's experience.
Yeah.
But we can kind of figure that out.
Yeah. Okay. So sorry, just going back to this because we only have a couple minutes. So turning on the winning variant, where did we land on that then?
I think it's a combination. Yeah, I think what you have is right? Like you're accountable, but then engineering will go in to do it.
Okay.
Yep.
And then the other portion is actually implementing would be engineering, right?
Yep.
I don't know if that's the right verbiage. Justin, feel free to fix it.
I think that's fine for now. Yeah.
Okay. Sharing information. This is more so like up and out, like to Ray, Ashley, our partners, etc. Like that would probably be me, probably consulting you, Dennis, just in case the data or questions around that. The last one, I added this in just based on like the client MAU issue. I see this as like an engineering manager situation. I don't know, Justin, if that's you or Nathan that's taking that on. But like technical ownership of the actual platform, I would see that as an engineering manager responsibility.
Yep. Kind of 100%. I think it's a mixture of like Nathan's kind of like the DRI for the platform.
Yeah.
But with that said, like he doesn't own all the A/B tests and all the code that everyone's working on. So it's going to be more kind of like a flow from the engineer working on it on the A/B testing up to the engineering manager, and then we can kind of bring Nathan in as needed to kind of close that loop, and we can figure it out.
Okay, cool. Okay, sweet. So like just take a look over this again. I think we're in alignment, but we'll obviously like need Lauren's input as well. And then I think once we get this, we can get it into the handbook or like the A/B test project issue. I don't know. I'm gonna fall back on Lauren. She's better at this stuff. And then we can just share it out with Michael and the rest of the team, so everyone has alignment of like if there's an issue, people know where to go to. Is there anything I'm missing? Also, like if there's any steps or anything that I'm missing, please let me know.
I think we're good. I think that it all looks really good.
Okay. Sweet. Thanks, Lauren. I'll update this video and share this out with them. Cool. Thanks.